I want to make something very clear. I've made videos before about the way the system works against people. Most of the time, not through some grand conspiracy, but through structures and incentives that unintentionally produce outcomes that leave ordinary people feeling trapped, powerless, and alienated. My reason for talking about this isn't to demoralize anyone. It's the opposite. I want people to know that they're not crazy. Many working or middle-class people carry a persistent sense that something is wrong, that they're participating in systems that don't have their best interests at heart, even if they can't articulate why. Even people who are comfortable or successful often feel that some part of themselves remains unexpressed, constrained, or disconnected from the life they truly want to live. The point isn't to convince people that they're victims. The point is to help them understand what they're up against. Because once you recognize that certain obstacles are real, you stop blaming yourself for every difficulty. More importantly, you stop talking yourself out of taking risks. Many mild-mannered people convince themselves that their frustrations are entirely self-generated, that it's all in their head. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes the odds really are stacked against you. And if that's true, then it follows that you may need to work harder, push further, and overcompensate in ways that simply aren't fair. This is not right, but it is what it is. The ability to keep fighting despite impossible odds is a rare trait. Most people are naturally equipped with the capacity to persist when success seems unlikely or impossible. Yet it's one of the most valuable capacities a person can develop, the willingness to act, strive, and struggle even in the face of impossible odds. That is ultimately what I'm trying to inspire. Not through generic motivational slogans, but by constructing the most convincing and coherent narrative possible, a framework that leaves people with no other choice but to act on their truth because all friction and distortion has been resolved. Confusion is one of the most effective forms of control. A population divided amongst itself is easy to manage. So is an individual divided against themselves. Cognitive dissonance is a powerful source of paralysis. When two competing voices of equal volume are constantly arguing inside you, every step forward is met by an equal and opposite step backward. What better way to neutralize a population than to have them at war with themselves? Much of my work is dedicated to resolving that internal conflict, not just politically, but morally, psychologically, spiritually, sociologically, and philosophically. It's aimed at people who are intelligent enough to recognize contradictions in the world, but have never found satisfying answers to them. Unanswered questions create friction. Human beings are naturally curious. We want to understand how things came to be the way they are, why society functions as it does, why suffering exists, why institutions behave the way they do. Yet we also need to survive, fit in, work, pay bills, and meet our basic needs. The result is a split self, an innocent inner child forever longing to know the truth, and an often tired and disenfranchised adult forced to ignore difficult questions in order to function. But those questions don't disappear. They linger beneath the surface, generating doubt, hesitation, and internal conflict. They become a psychological break. In my own life, cognitive dissonance was one of the greatest obstacles to effective action. The more contradictions I could perceive, the harder it became to move forward until I found ways to resolve them. Intelligence can become a burden when it allows you to perceive contradictions everywhere, but possesses no framework to reconcile them. The ability to comprehend can be weaponized against you if you never answer the questions your comprehension uncovers. You end up trapped in the grey, like a fly stuck in amber. This isn't about assigning blame or finding villains. That's a separate discussion. My point is simpler. People with muddy intentions are easier to control than people with clarity. Clarity creates momentum. A clear conscience puts your foot on the accelerator. Unresolved questions keep your foot on the brake. When curiosity is repeatedly met with indifference, ridicule, or dismissal, cynicism emerges. Cynicism is often the byproduct of a person whose natural curiosity was repeatedly crushed. We begin life fascinated by the world. Then life happens, the system happens, disappointment happens. Most people never get the opportunity to fully process what happened to them, why it happened, or how they arrived where they are. So they remain stuck, spinning their wheels, often getting nowhere. Information is power because understanding creates clarity. Clarity ends internal conflicts. And when the internal war ends, people regain the ability to move. This is why I share what I've learned. The years I've spent researching, questioning, reflecting, and wrestling with these issues weren't academic exercises. I was trying to answer questions that were preventing me from moving forward. I remember what it felt like to have a clear conscience as a child, an unbroken will, and a sense of direction. Then life happened, the system hit, and I realized the same thing that happens to countless other people. Some are hit so early that confusion and dissonance is all they've ever known. What I'm trying to do is help undo that confusion, to use knowledge to create clarity, to resolve the internal war, to help people understand themselves, understand their circumstances, and understand how they arrived where they are. Because when the contradictions are reconciled, when the questions have answers, and when the conscience is clear, people stop hesitating. And when people stop hesitating, they move. And when there is peace and clarity within, there will be peace and clarity without. And life will be beautiful once more.